back to school time, but the pollinators in your garden are still looking for the really good snacks that you provided all summer long. So today on the Garden Mixer, we're going to talk about plants that can get your pollinators so excited, they're going to think you flavored your entire garden with pumpkin spice. She's Marianne Wilburn, I'm Leslie Harris, and get ready to learn about some great fall pollinator plants.
She's Marianne Wilburn, and she did not approve that cheesy intro. Pumpkin spice, really?
I think this is what we should do is always, we take turns doing the intro generally, always aim it to annoy the other person. Yeah, I think that works for our brand.
You succeeded 100%.
Yes, I am winning. But this is a great topic, right? I mean, we're talking to you in early fall, and you can still go shopping because there's some great plants to add to your garden if you want to have the bees buzzing around. I mean, some summer annuals are going to make them happy, but we've got some really good ones for you.
We think about summer plants as the big pollinators, spring, summer. And by fall, we're so tired and done that we're like, oh, is there something blooming out there? Yes. And those pollinators need it. And what's more, it's pretty cool to watch them foraging for that and still enjoying your garden. So stay tuned for that. And we'll also have some wonderful Damn, I Wish I Planted That. We've got 2 picks on that, as we usually do for this time of year, to put on the master list.
Those will be at the very end of the show. So don't be going nowhere else. Just stick with us.
Don't be going nowhere else. What are you drinking, Les? Because I am just about to open this shaker.
It's rum time, baby. And here's a great big fish because I'm at Rusty Gear's house, again, up in Connecticut, and he loves to fish. And I'm looking out at the sound, and this is a dark and stormy.
Ginger beer. Yeah, You see, I can't go there with you. I'm going for a beautiful rum punch.
Ooh, yum. What did you add to it?
You know what? Any rum punch, in my mind, is not a rum punch unless it's got really good guava juice in it. I don't care how much tropical nonsense you put in there. If it isn't mostly guava juice, I'm out. Well, I mean, I'll drink it, but I'll have a smirk in the corner of my mouth.
So in case I ever come to your house and you accidentally have in your inventory not really good guava juice, you can serve it to me. Having never tasted guava juice, having no idea what it tastes like, I'm good with anything.
I bet you have, though. It's that when you sniff a really good rum punch, it's usually that tropical scent that you maybe can't identify as, oh, that's pineapple, oh, that's coconut, oh, that's mango. But you're sort of, what is that wonderful thing? It's probably either passion fruit juice or it's guava. And not only any guava juice, I mean, for what we can get here in the States, but we usually have 2 choices. We usually have Goya or Jumex. And if you see the Jumex, then stock up because that's the good stuff. The Goya tends to be not as good. Sorry, Mr. Goya. If that's
you can serve that to
whoever.
Me. Oh,
yeah.
Speaking of pineapple, real fast, here's something that if you've been to Bermuda, you probably know this. Dark and Stormy's Gosling rum, all from Bermuda. But if I were to have on hand some pineapple juice to just put on top of this, it becomes a new cocktail called the Perfect Storm. And as we go into hurricane season, I hope we won't be drinking those like in irony. Cheers,
right,
Marianne.
Cheers. So is this a drinking program or a gardening program? It is.
Yeah, let's go into the plants.
A gardening program. Let's move swiftly on into Clear Up Corner. The first one is quite funny, actually. Because
you were right and I was right, and I was right in assuming that you were wrong, and you were wrong in assuming that you were wrong. Because Matthew Barry is both that actor who left us a little too early from Friends. He's also a U.S. naval officer from the 19th century who did recognize, he was not a botanist, he was not a gardener, so you were kind of wrong. But he recognized the significance of it, and he took with him a botanist who, by the name of Dr. James Morrow. That was my research. What did you get?
I don't think I ever said he was a botanist. I was just trying to figure out the Matthew Perry who goes to Japan and does the whole exploration thing and pulls Japan out of the sort of isolationism that they had been experiencing for many, 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 many years. And
I didn't get. I was concentrating on the botany. And he was not the
So
botanist.
well, it was just sort of funny that Matthew Perry's parents thought that it would be a good thing to name him Matthew and then confuse generations of people from that point on, so
Possibly none were confused, or none was confused, if that's a singular. Anyway, that because they didn't know the other Matthew Perry, and I must admit that I was in that population. However, Sir Joseph Banks, yes, he is top of mind for me because he was an actual botanist. And so we went on to talk about the Lady Banks rose at the
Mm.
time that that was brought back from Japan by somebody else, not Sir Joseph Banks, who went on many expeditions on the high seas, including Captain Bligh on the Bounty. He was on that ship. I'm not quite sure how many
No
specimens he
way.
brought home because that was a problematic voyage. But he later became head of Kew Gardens, and another botanist, sorry, I didn't get that name, brought back this fantastic rose. So this is the Lady Banks rose, and it is amazing because it is a double yellow rose. It's thornless, and it is vigorous. And in fact, I saw on the interweb, so it must be true, that there is a specimen that was planted in Tombstone, Arizona in 1884 that now covers 8,000 square feet. I just want to believe that, even though I read it on the internet. I mean, I read it on MOBA, on Missouri Botanical Database. So maybe, I hope.
I love the idea of calling the Bounty, the voyage of the Bounty, problematic. That's
Didn't go as
you
planned,
didn't
actually.
go as planned. Okay. Let's bring it straight back to plants. Persicaria. So I was correct in that painter's palette, the Persicaria that I grow that goes rampant is Persicaria virginiana. And that's all I have to say about that. It does, well, it's not actually, never is with me. It's Painter's Palette is a really, really beautiful Persicaria. The leaves have sort of a white cream. It's not white, it's cream, really.
It's cream.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's cream and it's gorgeous, but it does tend to revert and it seeds itself in those reversions. I don't think it's reverting in so far as it's just seeding itself. And the seedlings are extremely vigorous and they can crowd out the original one. It may be a reversion. Oh, great. Another clear up corner.
Oh, no, but
Um,
I can clear that up right now because
oh,
it
cool.
quite possibly can revert, but I have let it self-seed in my tiny garden, and they're all coming back as the, very cool, variegation of that cream with a dash of red and green, and they all look like Painter's Palette to me. They're not reverting to just green Persicaria. But can I talk about editing for one moment? Because that was our last episode, and I forgot to say something that
Absolutely.
I think is important and that
Yes.
drives me crazy. Um
Besides me, yes.
Besides you, and it sticks. I talk about this in the spring when there's sticks in the garden when people haven't cut back their hydrangea macrophyllus. There are no sticks in the garden. I mean, there are plenty of sticks in the garden, but they don't have to be front and center and on top of plants. So when your hemerocallis and your hostas are done, just reach down there and snip away those brown things. And it's really satisfying. So satisfying that, in fact, with the hemerocallis, with the daylilies, if you wait long enough, you don't even have to snip them. You can just pull them right out, and they're fun to take away because everything looks a little fresher and greener. There,
Yeah, sometimes you can just yank them pretty
yeah.
quickly. I love debrowning. It's one of the most satisfying parts of gardening because you're just yanking and some yesterday I actually debrowned an Orlea that was completely dead by just I've never pruned a dead plant before, but I really wanted some of the seed heads and not all of them.
Ah,
So there you
interesting.
go. And that's another reason that you're debrowning is to stop things from fully spreading. Another thing that I wanted to say about editing is that sometimes just cutting off those seed heads where you want them to scatter them around. You don't have to keep the big brown plant in the garden. You can just pull it up and cut those seed heads off and let them lay on the ground and do what they were going to do. So
Yeah, yeah, good idea. And the last thing I think, or maybe one of the last things, is oh, we should always clear up where you can get show notes, and that's on Substack. We are on the Garden Mixer at Substack. Marianne happens to just be a writer. I'm in charge of editing and general things that don't require creativity and
that's
wordsmithness,
not true.
wordsmithedness. And she writes a beautiful set of show notes that I hope you're getting in your inbox.
Hopefully, people have fun with it as well. You know, a lot of times it's things that we don't we don't necessarily cover, but we allude to down in the random part at the very bottom. Kathy Purdy, one of our founding mixers, asked me recently, how do I go back and get some of the old show notes? And she was having problems because Substack has changed the formatting a little bit so that when you search for the Garden Mixer podcast on Substack, it doesn't come up with our big, beautiful dashboard. It comes up with our activity, sort of like like a Facebook feed, if you're familiar with that, because they're just trying to be, I don't know, more social. So if you go down underneath and you hit the button that says the Garden Mixer podcast when you're in that activity page, it'll bring you back to that main page. And you can also check the tabs there to find the episode that you're searching for. So you can go back and add a comment, which we will see eventually, and and just interact with us. And also, Kathy was wondering if you have to access chat from your phone. You don't. You can type, which is wonderful. On the computer, you can get chat on Substack so that you can answer questions like we're asking this week to listeners who are thinking about the mad stash, which is Margaret Roach's wonderful description of the time that you're trying to bring in all your tender plants into the house. And we're going to be preparing you for that in a couple different. Are these One More Sip episodes, Les, or are they main episodes?
Yeah, I think we had decided to put them as One More Sip episodes. We'll probably allude to them in main episodes, but if you really want the chunky information, please join us on One More Sip.
And that's brought to you by the One More Sip committed community. Thank you to our paid subscribers who make that possible. So check that chat out. Put the plant that you've fallen in love with, you don't want to see go. And we'll pick a couple from there to talk about in depth of what you can do for that plant to try and keep it alive. Okay, I think we have finished clearing up. We are
Yeah.
ready to get our backs into this episode. What are we talking about again?
So we're indeed so long ago that I introduced it in such a way that you want to forget. Um, something about pumpkin spice. No, it's really about pollinator plants for fall. And it really is important to keep this going. We have a good number of plants, and a lot of them are natives, which is important. Some of them are sort of adaptive natives, which our native pollinators love. But why don't you start? Because you have a good starter.
Okay, I wanted this week to bathe myself in the virtue of using almost all native plants that I love. I felt like I really needed to, as penance for mentioning so many Asian and temperate European plants over the last couple weeks. So I'm going to give you four. I think my fifth is almost native. It's central to tropical Americas. Not really,
So
but
close,
sorta.
so
So
close, just
close,
one
so
flight away.
close. Yeah, but the first one is not going to be a surprise to a lot of people. And that is Symphyotrichum oblongifolium, October skies, otherwise known as aster. Well, it used to be known as aster, but somehow the taxonomists got in there and aided and abetted by the Aster Society, I believe.
And probably by
And
the Astor family, the coal mining people.
I think the Asters were involved in it too.
From the Gilded Age. They're like, we want a better name.
What is this Aster stuff? We need something with like a double barrel or anything. But Symphyotrichum is what is the genus that describes mostly North American natives. And these guys have the little whorl that's around, like the little ruff around their necks, around the neck of the flower. What is it called? Involucral bract, I think. That's like right
I'm
somewhere here. So
impressed. I will be even more if that is correct.
I can't see my notes, so I'm just gonna wing it. These aren't my best classes. But anyway, sim means together and trichos means hairs in Greek. And somehow they're hairier than others. The cultivar is October skies, and it is fantastic. It really is an incredible bloomer. It is so visited by pollinators, and it's late into the season. It's not as late as Radon's favorite. So if you grow October skies, grow Radon's favorite too, which I think was a seedling of October skies. And then
Oh,
you'll end up with a double whammy. I first saw this at Chanticleer, and Lisa Roper was growing it in the gravel garden. She was growing October skies and Radon's favorite. And oh my goodness, so beautiful. Zones, let's see if my glasses can do this. Zones 3 to 8. And really full sun if you got it, because they do tend to flop a little bit. You want them to be strong. This one takes really well to Chelsea chopping folks. So please do so. It does seed prodigiously. And those seedlings are not going to be true to type. So it's if you love that particular variety or the cultivar, then grub them out and or play with them, experiment. I don't know. It's up to you. What else? Anything on that one you want to add a few?
color is a very pleasant purple.
Very pleasant.
We gardeners say blue, but it's actually really purple. Don't we know that? Yes, we do.
Yeah, it's purple, but it has a yellow inner disc, and that's the other thing I think that makes Symphyotrichum different than aster is that inner ray. Is it a ray? No, it's not. So it's a
Uh,
disc. The ray is the petals.
I would say the
So
center, the center
we're just, I
part.
mean, we're just going to spend all of next episode in Clear Up Corner if we don't get the hell out of this
Yeah. Okay,
Symphyotrichum.
and here's another one because my first plant is an aster, and I'm going to say Symphyotrichum. Symphyotrichum, not
Ooh.
Symphyo. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that. Noviae angliae, and it's my favorite German name, Alma Patschki. Alma. And it's actually Andenken and Alma Patschki, as if maybe she's married to Andenken. I don't know any German. But it's a long, long name. It will not make Marianne happy because it's a bright pink with those middle yellow discs. And she's wrinkling her nose, and I don't blame her. But it's a strong pink. And sometimes in the fall garden, you want to go strong because everything's starting to fade. It's
Yeah.
also zones. It's similar to the one that she mentioned, October skies. I think doesn't go all the way down. What did you say? 3 to 8. This one's only 4 to 8. It is pretty sturdy. It could stand the pre-pruning Chelsea chop. But if you have it in full sun, you probably won't need to. It gets to about 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. And like all Symphyotrichum, it just blooms longer than your average perennial. It blooms for 4 to 6 weeks. It just goes and goes. Deer don't really like it. Birds might like it if you let it go to seed later on in the fall, native to the eastern United States. And again, a strong pink with a yellow center. So it's kind of a party, kind of too strong a party. Maybe for some people, you could tone it down with some, I don't know, with some,
Gasoline.
that's an option. Yes, you could do that. I think you want to talk about your next plant now that you've burned mine down to the ground. What's yours?
I'm laughing because I'm actually wearing a pink shirt right now, and I'm slowly being brought over into the cult of pink with like my phlox we talked about in an earlier episode, kapow pink. I mean, it's a great phlox.
Next thing you know, you'll be carrying around a soil knife. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, look at this. Honestly, hold on.
Oh, there she goes. Where's she
I'm
going?
leaving. Hold on, I'm coming back. I mean,
Okay.
that's the cover of my book,
Yeah, that's
which
kind of
is
pink.
just yeah, which is Insignis pink Brugmansia and a pink spine. Do you know what I
I
had?
mean,
I had to have words with my editor when they did this to me, but it was out of my
I
hands.
bet the word preppy makes you just like,
Ooh,
oh yeah, that's not a
ooh,
good
don't
word
like
for you.
that. No, no,
No,
no,
no,
not
no,
good
no.
for me.
Okay. What's next for you?
Solidago. Goldenrod, specifically rugosa, specifically fireworks. I love this plant. And again, another North American native. This one, just like the last one, seeds to hell and back. And it also runs, it's rhizomatous. And so if you put it in, you're gonna have it. But boy, is it a beautiful plant. And you can grub up those seedlings and you can pull up where it's starting to spread and it can make a really nice mass. It is zones 4 to 8. I would definitely put it in full sun to not so partial shade, like the very lower limits of full sun, which is about 6, 7 hours of sun, which is what is my highest level of sun because you don't want to have to stake it. Anything that you don't have to stake is a good thing. And if you Chelsea chop it, you'll also push that bloom out a little bit and make it a little bit sturdier for the season. So I always do that. But it has these beautiful plumes of yellow and they're panicles and they're almost flattened. They sort of go out and down and it's very airy fairy. I can't wait for it to bloom with autumn fire sedum or hyliotephalum or whatever they're calling that now. Sorry, I need to stop helling and damning. I'm it's shocking. I've only had a few sips of this rum punch. Any thoughts about that one? Do you like that one?
Yeah, I would say that, it makes me very happy, and grown as a mass, it's very impressive.
Yes.
How tall does fireworks get, more or less?
Ooh, I would say it gets to be about 3 to 5. I know that's a little bit it depends on if you Chelsea chopped it. So right now I'm
Okay,
dealing mine is about 3.5 feet, but it could definitely be taller than that had I let it go.
okay.
And then I would be staking it.
And that's no fun. We don't wanna bring those chores on ourselves. The only other thing that I would mention is the editing part of it is because it is vigorous. It is not difficult. It's not a taproot. The rhizome isn't far below the surface, and it's fairly easy to yank out, is it not?
It is. Most, solidagos, if you or goldenrods, when you pull them out in the spring when it's really wet and you pull them out and you look at the roots, it's freaking frightening because these little rhizomes forget about the roots. Rhizomes are all like, "Ah, I'm coming to get you." They're going in all directions, and they look so healthy and plump and ready to take over your garden. So make sure you do some editing. Solidago rugo or canadensis or not canadensis, canadense?
I think it's canadensis.
Okay.
We'll figure
They
it out.
both of those, I think, may go on our heinous natives list at some point, even though we love them. They're a little heinous.
This was a good description. I also chose a solidago, and mine is called shorty eye. And you think, "Oh, good,
Okay.
it's a little tiny one." Well, it actually is shorter. It's about 2 by 2, but it's, named after a Dr. Short who found it. Dr. Charles Wilkins Short first discovered this plant in 1840. Solar cascade, which is the particular it's the plant itself is in danger. Solar
Oh, yes.
cascade is a cultivar that it's been developed by our buddies at Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. Thank you, Scott Berline. I mean, I don't
Thank
know if
you,
he was in the
Scott. Yeah, he
laboratory
was down
doing
there
that
moving moving pollen, yeah.
pistils and, like, making it all work. I don't know about that
Yeah.
for Scott, but anyway, his organization where he works has got this going so that Solar Cascade is helping to keep this strong. This one's in zone 6 through 9. It only gets to about 2 by 2. Takes some shade. Just fireworks doesn't love the shade, and it might flop, right?
I wouldn't put it in the shade, no.
Solar Cascade, as it's now I haven't grown this plant because, I've got the tiny garden, and I do have some sort of solidago, but I'm not quite sure what it is, so
Wait,
I had
where
a
is your journalistic integrity? You have not grown this plant?
I have a garden the size of a pea.
What, are you just picking things off of on random sites?
No, yes, maybe a little bit. She chose a tall one, I'll go with a small one. I love solidago. I have gardened solidago in many clients' gardens, and I couldn't tell you those exact cultivars either, but I just thought this one was kinda cool because it was shorter than yours, and you hush, I'm doing my homework here. Um,
Luckily, I have grown solar cascade and I really like it. You've just
okay.
reminded me that I wanna grow it again because I don't grow it here.
Would you agree that it's not as vigorous as some, that it would take some shade and it is not quite as vigorous as some scary ones?
You know what? I can't say.
So
I
you've
only grow it
grown
for
it,
the
but you
I've
don't
grown it
know.
well, I've only grown it for a couple years, the last couple
Okay.
years that I was in my last garden, and so I really don't think you can get the hang of a plant unless you've grown it for 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes more, honestly.
In that case, the, journalistic integrity coming out of this part of the partnership of the garden mixer is very much in question. But I have grown a lot of plants, but not always
Well,
on
you
my
have a lot of
property.
clients' gardens too that
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
you were able to experiment with,
And I was
so
saying things like, "Mind that solidago." I wasn't saying exactly which type it was because 'cause I'm not that into it.
hey, at least you're saying solidago. My next one is white snake root, Ageratina, and, I always wanna put an extra N in there and say Agerantina, but it's Ageratina, Alissima. Is it Alissima or Altissima? It's Altissima.
Altissima.
So I have a real love-hate with this plant. There is no doubt that it is a beautiful froth in the late summer and fall garden. It really is. The sort of you see those froths in the early spring and the early summer of Queen Anne's lace or cow parsley, that type of thing. That's what you're trying to emulate with white snake root. But it has more of a fuzzy flower. It's not an umbel, it's a fuzzy flower. It is exceptionally vigorous, spreading rhizome rhizomatously
Oh, and by seed.
and by seed. And it just showed up in my garden a few years ago. It used to be Eupatorium. I can't remember what the species, I mean, maybe it was just Eupatorium ageratina. I don't remember, but
I don't know.
it showed up, birds brought it, what have you. I thought, "Oh, what is this?" And I allowed it to get established in one of my beds, the long serpentine bed, and I have really enjoyed it. It's made some incredible plant combinations with the berries of calicarpa and
Hmm.
the purple and the white. But just yesterday, I was absolutely kicking its butt with my second with my pruners,
Get the golf cart out.
getting a golf cart out. It's really takes well to Chelsea chopping. I say it takes well, it's like, "What are you doing? What are you even trying?" Just to keep it down a little bit, but you do have to be pretty alert to how it's gonna spread. White snake root was named that because I believe that Native Americans used it as a remedy for snake bites, but it also gave a lot of settlers milk fever.
Oh,
And I think this is the one where if cows eat this and then you drink the milk, it can give you milk fever, which can lead to death, which I think killed Abraham Lincoln's mother. I believe that may be a
oh,
clear
sounds
corner, but I'm pretty
familiar.
sure it did.
Yeah, yeah, Nancy.
Yeah. So don't eat it. Pull it out by the handful. You just need to be on top of it. I've let it go a little bit, but again, great pollinator plant. There's another one in central Texas that I came across, Havanensis, which does the same sort of thing and is a native in central Texas and is a really great fall plant there too. But since we're technically only supposed to do one, I'll leave it there and give it off to you.
I have a question. I used to enjoy it in my garden up in Connecticut. It arrived, birds probably, and I noticed that some of them were green, kind of boring foliage, and some of them were like a real chocolatey foliage. And then I realized that that was actually sold in nurseries, which is amazing.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if it still is. I mean, it's a native, so it's not like it's a bad thing to sell it in nurseries, but you don't need to really buy that plant. You can just wait for that plant.
yes and no. I have bought chocolate, and it's a very, very dark leafed cultivar, very dark
Mhm.
leaf cultivar. And then it has babies, and those are not as dark. They're
True.
more green to bronze. And so if you really want that dark foliage, you need to grub out those babies. If it's spreading, it's going to continue spreading the dark. But if it's just sending out seedlings, yeah, you wanna change it. So I like the dark foliage. But here's an interesting thing. The dark foliage chocolate does not do as well in drought,
Oh.
as the green foliage does or in drier soils. And this was a long time ago Eupatorium, which is Joe Pyeweed,
Was,
um,
yeah.
genus, yeah, and so those are moisture lovers. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to grub out a lot. There's so much I've gotta grub out. Dear God, I better
You
leave right now. In fact, what am I doing
you gotta go.
recording this podcast? I gotta go.
Get right back out to the garden and start grubbing those things out. I do remember we were talking about this plant about, almost a year ago, and I thought, "Oh, I know that plant, I know that plant." I hadn't grown it in Virginia, and I was taking out the garbage next to my kind of apartment condo building in Connecticut, and right next to the dumpster oh, yeah, that plant, and it was growing next to the dumpster in total shade. I mean, it's a happy plant wherever and pavement, I think. So it's wherever it wants to be. All right. So my next one is sadly not a native, but it is an adaptive pollinator, and it will make your pollinators very happy. It's from Asia, and it's not a herbaceous perennial either. It's Caryopteris clandonensis, and I chose dark night because that's a common one and a good one. This is a woody shrub, but it's tiny. It's like 3 by 3. It zones 5 through 9, and it breaks dormancy late, which makes you sad because it's kind of hairy, sticky. The bark, I suppose, or what you're looking at is kind of a gray, sort of hairy thing. So if that's driving you crazy in your spring look, you can prune it in spring because it'll bloom on new wood, so you don't have to worry about taking away those blooms. The foliage is also gray, long silvery gray type of foliage. The flowers on it, they're a beautiful purple, and they remind me, the way they're made up of tiny little flowers, of a buddleia. But buddleias are panicle shaped, and these are
Yeah.
round. They sort of have that same look. It loves dry, well draining soil, and so I included it in some early designs here in Virginia, or there in Virginia, I'm in Connecticut, where they have tons of clay soil, and it did not prosper. So I took that out of my repertoire of let's put some of that in your fall garden.
Oh.
But I grew it very well in Connecticut, and it's just a great plant. It mixes well with any of the other plants that we're talking about because it has a kind of a different look to it, because it's a bit more airy, I think. Do you grow it?
I don't right now, but I used to grow longwood blue, and I grew that because a long time ago, longwood had a long, double not
LA.
alley of it. Would you call it an alley if it's down by your feet? It's not
Row.
really. It's they're 2
You're right.
rows with this little folly or little pavilion thing at the very end of it. That's gone now because they've redone all of that. And I loved it. And oh my goodness, the pollinators on that, the insects
Yeah.
on that were
So
incredible.
happy.
I also grew a chartreuse cultivar that I was sent a few years ago, but it really didn't do much for me past that first year. So I will not name it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not good. It just means that that year it didn't do well. I mean, I lost Aurelia cordata twice before I finally started growing it well. So you never know. But I know that first year with it, it did look good. And it was a very chartreusey color. Have you grown that one?
I haven't. I've seen it. And I've also seen one that has a variegation with the regular green and a lime green on the leaf. And I have not grown that one, but boy, I've
Oh,
been tempted. I don't know the name of it. Do you? Do you know that one?
no, I don't know that
No,
one.
to do a little
No, let's get,
chloroquine.
hold on.
Anyway,
Jane, can you get on that? Thank you. Thanks. She'll be right with us with that. Yeah. Next one. Is it me? Is it you?
it's you.
It's me. Okay. Yes, that's right. You're Caryopteris. I am actually going to talk about the Rudbeckia that I was pulling out by the handfuls the
Oh,
other
good. So
day.
we know that's a good plant.
Yeah, well, it is. And again, another native. This is Rudbeckia fulgida, and the variety is Diamii, or I always say Demii, but I think it's probably Diamii. And it is a fantastic plant. It truly is, but it takes over. You seeing a running theme here? So depending, this ain't no maintenance, baby, and it ain't low maintenance either. So, right, I came back from being gone for 2.5 weeks, and my perennial bed was just Rudbeckia fulgida Damii, and I had to really pull and pull and pull to get it out of there. It seeds itself prodigiously, and wow, really is a running theme.
Mm.
It's short-lived. Some of them are short-lived, and I don't tend to see it spreading like it's supposed to. I just see it seeding itself, and I edit in the spring, and I pull some of it out, but it's never enough because it really is very well branched. It has a large leaf, and the leaf is hairy or pubescent. And you can easily remember the word pubescent because just think
Because you're
about what
like, what?
that
Why is that?
means.
Okay, I
Why
gotcha.
is that hairy? Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. Anyway, it's zones 4 to 9. And because it has that hairiness to the leaves or that pubescence, I think that's one of the reasons why it's so mildew resistant.
Oh,
I
yeah.
never have mildew on it like I do on Rudbeckia Goldstrom, which is also Fulgida. and I sometimes have mildew on that. It also is incredibly late, so long after Goldstrom's gone, even American Gold Rush, which is a great Rudbeckia, is gone. I've got this stuff blooming well up into the frost. I think last year I took a picture of it at the beginning of November because we had such a late frost and it was
Mhm.
just doing beautifully. And not only for pollinators that are getting that nectar and that pollen, but also for the birds that are taking those seeds from those seed heads. So you
Yeah.
just have to edit, again, edit, edit, edit.
My next one is I forgot to mention about Caryopteris that some people call it blue beard. Some people call it blue mist flower, but this other one that I'm gonna talk about is also called blue mist flower. It is always a great thing to know your botanical Latin names. So this is the Coleclinium coelestinum, and it's an herbaceous perennial. People do call it blue mist flower. You will know it if you look at it and you're like, "Huh, that looks like ageratum," and it's growing very tall. It's not ageratum, but it looks like
Okay.
that, little buttons of purple. So it's like a dense disc of flowers that are just like a half an inch across. This is zones 5 through 10. It grows to about 2.5 by 2.5 feet. It can, if it doesn't have full on sun, it can get floppy, so you could pre-prune it. People also call it blue bone set.
Oh, no, that's really interesting because the Argentina, the Texas one, the Haviensis, that's called white bone set. So
Uh,
this is a reason, listeners, why we learn the botanical names. This is why, because those two plants are unrelated, although they may be in the same family. Who knows? But,
they might be in the same family. They have
yeah,
sort of similar flower
yeah.
heads, but yeah. So this can be grown in so many conditions, except it doesn't really like to dry out. It loves to be by a stream. It loves to grow in woodlands. It is vigorous and it spreads. Oh, hey, have we talked about this before? By rhizomes, and it self sows. So it's a great plant, but again, editing, which is not difficult, but it would be a thing if you want to grow this plant. I find it to be a fabulous plant because it's just like your ageratina, it will pop up in places in between and it's not so hefty that it's going to destroy your look. It can come in real handy in some places, but keep an eye on it. Yeah.
I have nothing to add to that. I have never grown it. I've never even
Oh,
heard of it. So
oh,
yeah.
this is so amazing.
So one for the master list for Marianne to try
Cheers to
something
that.
new. Cheers to
Mhm.
that. All right, lastly, I'm going to take this native halo off of my head and give you one of the plants that I love for the fall, and that is lantana. Lantana can be invasive in some states. It's from central to tropical America. And so as it comes up, it can seed itself. But there are sterile cultivars and they are fantastic. I don't know if those sterile cultivars mean that they're not giving a lot of pollen out to the pollinators, but they're
Uh-oh.
certainly giving nectar and they're covered in nectar. And the one that I particularly love is a hot blooded red. I love that name. And boy, does it look like that. It's Lantana camara. Now, with lantana, you need to make sure when you find a cultivar that you like, or you find, let's say, just a generic one that you found in the nursery, it has no name on it, and you loved it, take some tip prunings of it or overwinter it
Oh.
in your garage because
Ooh.
there are so many different kinds of lantana, and many of them are trailing. Some of them are mounding, and you never really know what you've got unless you've got a named cultivar or you have got you, you've taken propagation materials from something. So look out for that. It's a sterile cultivar. It's from no, it's from Ball, I think, called Hot Blooded Red. And oh my goodness, just watching the butterflies on that in the beginning of October, it's a tremendous plant, and it's not going to seed to hell and back.
Mrs. Wilburn?
Oh yes, Miss Harris in the back.
Yes. Would you possibly have time to set aside a little bit of a lesson on how to take those tip prunings, and keep it over the winter in one of our One More Sip episodes?
Oh, yeah, we could do that, yeah. How to
Okay.
make more work for yourself. I'm really good at that. So,
Let's
yeah,
do it.
absolutely, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we covered these fabulous fall pollinators. And just so you know, a lot of them that we mentioned are native. A lot of them bloom longer than so many other plants. And a lot of them are just going to make you happy this fall. Happier than pumpkin spice? We don't know.
All right, so Miss Daisy, who grows in New Jersey, Zone 7A, gave us a great tip for listeners on planting bulbs, but she prefaced it with a lovely compliment. So I'm going to put the compliment out there first. So she said, "Thank you for your podcast. They're great on so many levels. The lonely gardener syndrome is real, so thank you for being there for us." So when you're out there by yourself, just doing it, we've all had that. I had that this week, just feeling very lonely.
It's such a wonderful pursuit. And sometimes you want that solitude. But, it's great to have good voices in your ears. So I'm really glad to hear that.
It is. So she had on our spring bulbs episode, she was listening to that, and she confessed she was guilty of planting in a single row.
Everybody's done it.
I've done it, absolutely. But she wanted to share another tip, and she said, don't get sucked into buying those big bulb mixes that come. And she does it over and over because oftentimes they don't bloom at the same time. And the little bouquet that you thought you'd be holding in your hand, you're not going to be holding. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have to buy those mixes, because I've bought a couple mixes and in a random area where they're just giving me, a low level of delight for a long period of time. But if it is front and center for you, if you have a small garden and it's right as you look at it, you may want to be more targeted with what you're buying. So anyway, thank you very much, Miss Daisy, for giving us that. I want to say your full name, but I don't know what your full name is. So,
well, we got a wonderful review from somebody who we didn't even get a Daisy. Somebody named DFWHD left us a lovely review on Apple. Light and refreshing. The garden mixers, Leslie and Marianne, offer a unique blend of flavorful gardening information and nuanced commentary. Nuanced. I love that.
I think the nuance is definitely my complexity.
It's you.
And because you're saying things like pumpkin spice, for God's sake.
So simple. So happy, but so simple. That both new and experienced gardeners will lap up with glee. As the cocktails flow, so does the conversation. Always entertaining, sometimes a bit cheeky. This is a podcast for enthusiastic gardeners. Mix it up with Leslie and Marianne. That is a fabulous review. Thank you, DFWHD. Yeah. Love it.
Thank you. I want to make up something for that acronym, but I will not. All right. So send your comments to comments@thegardenmixer.com if you don't feel like getting on Apple Podcasts or any of that, or you're not on there. But if you are on Apple Podcasts, or you are on Spotify, or you are on YouTube or TikTok or any of our platforms, please leave a comment for us, because we're going to see it. We'll read it. Possibly. It depends on how much you're kissing up. No, I'm kidding. I am totally kidding, because I will read the bad ones too. Absolutely. Because I would love to comment on them. So please bring them. Probably shouldn't have said that. So, so send us our comments. We love to hear it, and it helps the show when you are engaged, and we want to engage with you. That's why we're loving our paid subscribers on Substack, because we can engage with you with the garden chat. That is so much fun.
We can do that. And then, of course, you get this whole other episode that we allude to and try to make you jealous if you are not yet a paid subscriber, called One More Sip of the Garden Mixer. We're also on YouTube starting a little playlist for beginner gardeners called The Very First Sip, and it features Marianne's adorable puppy, who we exploit several times a week. So check that out on YouTube, and please subscribe.
Hey, he's got to work for his food.
Come on, let's talk about two more plants to finish this off, because the people listening to this and we love the plants. You're going to go first because I kind of mailed it in, and I ran out of time today. Instead of doing my homework, I played a little golf, and Jeff had 2 birdies and I had 1. Okay, I know no one cares about that, so let's just move on quickly. Go.
Sounds like a slightly well-balanced life. Well, this is the part of the show where we each give you a plant that's doing something special in the garden right now as you're listening to this so that you can mark it down on the master list if you like it. And then when fall planting season, which is sort of starting now, happens, you can maybe try and source it and get it for your garden, or maybe do it in the spring. So, damn, I wish I'd planted that. My pick is a new one for me that I am so excited by. I've had it in the garden for a year. This is what we used to call sedum or stone crop. It's now Hylotelephium. Wait, no, I had it. Hylotelephium. What do you think about that
I think that's
pronunciation?
pretty good. I think I can hear the Mobot guy saying, "Hylotelephium." Yeah,
Hylotelephium.
that's what he would say. Yeah.
Spectably. Hylotelephium spectably. There we go. Autumn, not joy. Autumn fire, baby. Autumn fire. So this is, you know how autumn joy, you grow it, it's
Love it.
growing and
It's
it's such
fabulous.
potential. And then all of a sudden it goes, "Oh, I'm so happy," and bleh, and it splits into the middle. Wah, wah,
You
wah.
can pre-prune it, but you're right, that can happen. So autumn fire is not gonna happen?
So autumn fire is better than autumn joy for a couple reasons. One is it's shorter. I mean, given great sun, it's 15 to 18 inches. In my garden, it's more like 18 to 24, but I also Chelsea chopped this thing too. And it spreads out that blooming for so long. Now, stone crop has a very succulent leaf if you haven't grown it before. It makes a large sort of, it's not really a rosette because it's many leaves, but it makes a large round clump. And then it sends up these beautiful spikes with flowers on them that are also covered in leaves. They're almost umbulate. But they're not. How would you describe them? I don't know how I would describe them.
It's not an umbellifer because it's too sturdy. An
Mm-mm.
umbellifer plant is a thin disc sitting upright, and this is like broccoli. Isn't it like
Yeah, this is
broccoli?
like broccoli. It's
Yeah.
like broccoli. That's right, chopping broccoli. That is a long ago Saturday Night Live reference.
Okay, you'll have to put that. I don't know that, so hopefully
You
it
don't
will
know the
appear.
church lady chopping broccoli. Oh, I'm gonna have to put a poll on the show notes to see how many people know that reference off the top of their heads without seeing it. Anyway, it does look like broccoli, but it's there's so much potential. It's just sitting there waiting, and and it's beautiful while there's that potential. And then it's starting to turn, and it's getting a little bit bigger, and it's still so beautiful. And then it opens up and it's this beautiful pink. And then it starts to turn to this sort of salmon sunset sort of color. And then it goes this sort of rusty brown. And I mean, we're talking over weeks. And then it's just in your garden looking amazing for for the late fall. And the pollinators are all over this plant. They cannot leave it alone. And next door, Autumn Joy's going, "Bleh, I'm out." So that's why you grow autumn fire. I paid a pretty penny for this last year, but it's really starting to get bigger, so I'll be able to
And
divide it
very
a little
easy
bit.
to divide, yeah?
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, so I totally cheated, and I made Marianne really mad when I said, "Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. This is an early September drop. I'm doing the dahlia." She's like, "No, I wanna do the dahlia," because everybody wants to do the dahlia. So I, ran out of
The
time.
dahlia drop.
So instead, I asked ChatGPT, this is gonna drive everybody crazy. Yeah, I did this, to come up with 10 fun facts about the dahlia, because we all know what dahlias are. This is that wonderful plant that grows from a tuber. It's native to South and Central America, and we love it. It is starting to be hardy for me in zone 7B, and my daughter even kept some over the winter because so these are tubers that you would generally lift or say goodbye to, but our earth is getting so warm that they are making it through the winter in protected places, which is actually really cool.
These top 10 tips better be amazing.
Well, I haven't read them
Okay,
yet,
I
so
mean, like, they blow my socks
I just
off,
printed them
okay?
out. Okay, here's a
Oh,
here's a really
wow.
insipid one that is just gonna blow your socks off because it's kinda dumb. They come in every single color except for blue.
Not impressed. Move
Not
on.
impressed. They actually are always trying to find a real blue dahlia and a real blue rose because that's what they're busy doing. A native to Mexico and Central America, Aztecs grew them for food. Okay.
Yeah, dahlia tubers are not worth eating, but if you were very hungry, you could eat
And
them.
you needed to stay alive.
They're very bland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and nothing I'm sure that a little bit of, butter and seasoned salt can't oh, maybe they didn't have that. Anyway, they also use them for medicine and decoration. So, this leads us to the next one. They're edible. They taste like a starchy potato with a radish. Most people grow them for flowers. The flower heads can range anywhere from the size of a golf ball and be round to the size of a dinner plate. A dinner plate. And I grew one like that rested upon a picket fence. And I was so pleased. They were just so huge. And I came out one night at cocktail hour in the fall to just admire my dinner plate dahlias, and they had all fallen down and were snapped off. So that's you're
Serves you right for using ChatGPT.
I know.
Yes, move on.
There are 42 official species and tens of thousands of named varieties. They were declared the national flower of Mexico in 1963. Boring. They bloom from midsummer. This is the coolest thing about the dahlia. I mean, you get peonies for what? 7 days, 5 days if it rains?
No, I mean, yeah, if you're doing singles, it's a couple more weeks, but
Yeah,
go
but
on.
I mean, a normal perennial, unlike the ones that we were talking about for fall blooming, they're not gonna be longer than, like, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks, and the dahlias can start for you. I think I had my first bloom in mid-July. I know my daughter here in Connecticut did, and they will go until frost, and they just keep going. Of course, just like, beans or peas, you gotta keep deadheading them or they're gonna give up the ghost, but they are just prolifically long-blooming plants. They are not great pollinators because they're so complicated. That's not from chat, that's just from me. It's they're very complicated. Their petal structure just does not want earwigs wanna dive in there, but most pollinators don't. So if you're looking
Yeah,
for
that's
pollinators
a good reason to grow a lot of the singles, which is what I grow just because I don't want to stake them and I don't want to, I don't want to deal with that. So more single a flower is, you're heading in the right direction for pollinators.
yeah. And the 8 and 9 are so insipid that I'm not gonna read them because 'cause I'll be embarrassed, but, and chat should be too.
You're not embarrassed yet?
Just a little bit, just bordering on. But the name dahlia honors Swedish, botanist Anders Dahl, Dahl. It's funny, the Brits say dahlia, and I see that H and I can't go dahlia. I wanna say dahlia.
Yeah, what are the Brits thinking? They should say doll, shouldn't they? I mean, they have Roald Dahl, so they
Yeah,
should say Dahlia.
they're misguided.
Dahlia. They are misguided. Well, they say valet instead of valet, and they say fillet instead of fillet. So what do they know
Mm,
anyway? They don't
well,
know
yeah.
anything about armadillos, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Are you gonna
No, I was just listening to Scribehound, and I really enjoy Scribehound podcast. I enjoy it. But they had a couple American questions. And first off, why are you guys listening to that? Well, you could be listening to this real-time American advice.
clearly. Yes.
But they were really unaware of what armadillos were, or what they did. And used some very offensive Southern accents, actually, which I can appreciate in the British part of my brain, but it was funny. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. We're done here.
Moving on to the end. We
the end.
did it all. There is
Yeah.
nothing more to do.
There isn't, except for the
Wow.
wait for the next episode of The Garden Mixer and what cocktail will we bring then. We really appreciate your listening. We've done all our pleas for our needy pleas of where you can go and how you can follow us. So enough of that. We just really appreciate you listening to us.
We do. So go forth, enjoy this wonderful, wonderful September with some flowers in your back pocket to give to those pollinators.
Absolutely. See you next time.
Bye.